one of the best fund manager of all time, Peter Lynch, in a conference, he asked the audience, he was like, who here is not a long-term investor? Raise their hand, and nobody raises their hand. And then he was like, oh, it's pretty funny that I go to every conference, I ask this question, and everybody's a long-term investor. Nobody raised their hand. Then how come when short-term stock price goes like so crazy, everybody's trading, everybody panics, then like there's no short-term investor, like who's doing that? And he says, everybody is a long-term investor until the market goes down. So when the market goes up, everybody's like, I'm making money, I'm a long-term investor, But when market goes down, everybody panics. So that's something keep in mind, that most people are unable to control their emotions when market goes down, and that's how they like lose money. But anyway,
a lot of people can't even control their emotions from day to day with just normal stuff.
You're gonna transition to a supervisor role?
No, I'm just saying, like it's tough to be able to control your emotions. So you kind of have to prepare yourself, or like exercise that skill, whether anything in everyday life. So it's just like it's just a precaution, that it's not, doesn't come overnight. You kind of have to practice it.
Especially when it comes to the stock market, it's even more difficult because psychology is working against you.
Yeah, so I think the best way to like get started with practicing is start investing in the stocks that you like genuinely interested in, not what's hot or what's going, that you think that will do well from a hunch. Like do what interests you, and then you go through those emotions day to day, and then you get to monitor yourself, and then later on when you see the time like is right, like now when everything is going down and like the whole stock market is going to shit basically, when you should buy, buy low, sell high, then you can already, you already practice going through the emotional roller coaster before then. So at least that's what I'm trying to do. But
well, there's study has been done showing that when it comes to money, everybody's emotion runs higher than other topics. I forgot like a few subjects like money, politics, maybe religion or something else. Like when they talk about these things, their brain shuts down, like the logical part of their brain shuts down, and they become way more emotional, and they like make decision based on instinct. And then on top of that, there's a more specific study done on the stock market, or just in general, like losing money and making money. And they found that people are twice, like the pain of losing money is at least twice as strong as the joy of making money. That's why a lot of people avoid risk. But in the stock market scenario is, if your stock goes up, you're happy, but you're not that happy. Especially if your stock is up for a while, it's similar to the previous point, that people get accustomed to it. People just assume, oh, this is the new price now, it's going to be this price forever. But when it falls, people's pain they feel is twice as much. So they rather to sell it out to not feel the pain for it to go down than waiting for it to go up, because the joy of it going up is not as much as the pain going down. And this is, you can pretty easily see this if you just do a quick mental exercise. If you say a stock is $10 or whatever it is, and you bought it and you went up to $20, $30, you'll be very happy, but just okay with it. But then over a month, it goes to 30, you'll be very happy. But then it goes down to 29, 28, and every day it goes down $1, let's say. Your emotion, the stress you feel during that month, it will be crazy. But let's say during a month, it dropped from $30 to $10. You lose, like 70% of it. You will feel so much stress during that month. But if you really look at it by the number, actually you started out with $10. Oh, went up a month, went down a month, you ended up with $10. It actually never moved. If it never went up, it never went down. If it was $10 to begin with, it stayed at the $10 for 2 months, you would still be at $10. But you wouldn't feel anything if it was at $10 the whole time. Whereas if it went up for a month and went down for a month, your stress will be crazy for the 2 months. But in reality, nothing actually happened.
Yeah, that's why I say like it's important to just condition yourself. So for example, like I got Tesla at like let's say 500 just to make it easy. And then it broke 1,000 and I was so happy. And then after a few weeks it went down to like 700. Like I lost all the money that I quote potentially made, but that's not the case. And I know that it's always going to go up and down. Like after the first few rounds, I was so on edge. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making money. I'm losing money. I'm making money. Losing. Now that I'm used to it and I'm conditioned, I'm like, okay, well, this is the way that the stock market is. This is the way the game works. So I just have to be patient with it, So that's why I say, like, just from my experience on a small stock, a tiny fraction, a minuscule piece, just to like, you're not,
And
you don't really know what it's like unless you go through it and you have stake in it or you have like skin in the game,
yeah, even people from YouTube who I know for a fact that they bought Tesla below $50. So when they go to 1,000, they made like hella money, right?
Yeah.
But then when it goes down to 800, they act like it's the end of the world. They're like, oh my God, it's crashing another, 200, it's crazy. Like, the war is ending, but they bought at $30. It's like, even if it never went up to 1,000, they only went up to 800, they will be static. Ecstatic. What's the word?
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic. They would have been ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
Whatever. Okay. Whatever. Right? In life, sometimes you only give 2 tries. But anyway, so the whole point is, if they bought at 30, it went up to 800, they will be very happy. Whereas, hold on, this is a good point. Okay.
Be very happy instead of ecstatic.
They're not really ecstatic. But whereas from $30, if we go up to 1,000 and drop to 800, to them it's like, it's such tragic event. It's crazy, the end of the world. It's all of these like imaginary artificial scenarios, that tortures people.
Mm-hmm.